another edition of Strategic Moves with Lou. I'm not Lou, I'm Mike Hendren, a licensed real estate agent in Wichita Falls, Texas with Strategic Realty. This is Lou next to me here. Lou Italis, the owner-broker of Strategic Realty here in Wichita Falls and also Pilot Point. And,
Hey.
You know, I mean, when are you going to open another satellite office?
I don't know. I'm working on it. I really want one in Houston or Austin.
Really?
I'd love to get one down there, yeah.
Yeah. Austin, good grief. It's still going crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still nuts.
So I know I have a neighbor who's looking, his family, kids and grandkids and whatnot live in Austin, and they're looking to relocate to that area. And so they keep looking for property. They've kicked around the idea of buying a piece of land and building a house, and that's,
It's a nightmare.
That's a nightmare.
Well, if you do get to it, once we get off of here, I'll give you a referral for an agent down there that can help them out. There's a lot of neighborhoods that are actually pretty cool. Like she lives in a neighborhood that is completely, solar powered.
Solar powered neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So whenever the grid goes down, they actually are not.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Like
That's good.
all the houses were built with solar power.
Really? Yeah. Well, I know they're, they're looking for. They really want to just move into something. They don't want to have to go through the hassle
building
of building
process.
and waiting
Yeah.
because they also know that right now with the supply chain issues and the labor issues, you can't get a house built the way you used to. It just
Not
nothing.
to the specifications that you want,
Yeah.
because I mean sometimes you're just dependent upon whatever is available. Like we've had that problem with brick. We've had that problem with just even any fixture or something that you want to put in the house. You're like, I want this. Oh well, they don't have that, but they've got this. So you got to kind of settle sometimes on things, and it's just a little.
You got to compromise on a lot of stuff right now because some things just aren't out there.
Yep.
So anyway, well, today a couple things we want to talk about on today's program. And again, strategicrealty.net is the website. I want to mention that before we go any further. And I also want to say thank you, by the way, to Terry and Lucy McAdams at MacTech Solutions here in Wichita Falls, Texas, for providing the studio space to do this show. We appreciate that very much.
And do all of our tech support whenever we need it.
Terry's fantastic. There's very little that he has not been able to solve for us. Even when we break it, which happens.
And I think that we broke it.
You think that we broke it? What we broke it?
It's just the lag. I think the computer needs to get restarted.
I don't know. There's something. Yeah, it's a couple seconds behind there in frames. Okay, well, we'll have to fix that. But anyway, a couple things we want to talk about today. Inventory.
Still low.
It's still, and I guess it's not just us, not just the Wichita Falls area, but all over. Inventory is still low, and people are still struggling with finding what they want. I'm working with a buyer right now that's has, I wouldn't say super specific needs, but does have some specific needs in a specific community, and
it just ain't happening.
There's just nothing there right now. We've got one property identified, but there's really nothing else there. It's
I
just
did a
not
search
happening.
for one of my clients, and they told me they want something with about 10 acres or more.
Oh yeah.
And they want it to be a newer home, maybe not brand new, but not something built or a mobile home or something like that. They don't want that. And I did a search on Paragon, and literally in all of the 5 counties that we cover, there's 20 properties with those. Not even 10 acres. I mean, I didn't even put any acreage in there. I just said single-family homes with acreage. Yeah. And only 20 houses came up. And of those 20 houses, there was only 2 that had more than 10 acres.
I know I've got one right now like that I'm working with, and they need at least 2,500 square feet, and they need 4 bedrooms and at least 2 bathrooms and at least 5 acres. And
so for all y'all out there that have those kinds of things and you're thinking about selling, now is a perfect time to do it, because there's buyers out there looking for your property.
There are.
And you're basically not going to have any competition.
No, you're not. There's nothing. nice, large homes with acreage right now. It's a unicorn, man. I mean, it just
That's a good way of putting it.
You know, where are they? So yeah, if you got a property like that you're thinking about selling, this is time to do it right now.
Yeah.
This is the time to get moving on it. Don't wait. You know,
that's where I was this morning. I was running late to come and do the podcast, but
I was too.
I had a client that wanted to go take a look at a property because they got a verbal approval on or a verbal acceptance of the offer, and they're like, okay, well, let's go take a look at it real quick before we sign this. And so that's where I was, and then I knew I was already going to be running late for 10 o'clock. So when I got out of there, I rushed them to go and take a look at it, and I got out of there, and I got lost. That's why it took me so long to get here. I was friggin' lost in my own backyard because it was just right there on Stearns.
Yeah.
So I start driving. I'm like, I don't know where I am. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I know Ray Road is here somewhere. And I even looked at my little GPS map and I couldn't. I'm a disgrace to real estate agents, y'all. I have no sense of direction. Absolutely none. You can turn me around in circles in my own backyard and I won't know where I'm at.
Well,
I tried so hard to figure it out before I hit eventually what I always do is hit GPS home and it gets me in the direction of home and then I know where to go.
GPS has spoiled all of us a little bit.
God, it was embarrassing.
Can you imagine if
it took me 15 minutes to get. Oh, and then I get to the place where I'm driving home, and now I know where I'm at. I'm getting on Southwest Parkway, so I know I need to just get on Southwest Parkway and then get on to Ray.
Okay.
Made the wrong turn on Southwest Parkway, and now I'm going to work. So I just drove all the way down to Fairway and was like, I'm not going to turn around. No, because if I turn around, I'll get lost again. So I went down to Fairway, went all the way to the office, and then from Fairway went on Caulfield, and then I got here, and
the day you call me and say, I can't find the office, we're going to have to talk to a professional.
I'm telling you, right? I'm going to be that little old lady in my neighborhood lost, just walking. I'm
not touching that.
I know it. I just know it because it's embarrassing. Sorry.
I guess I have an advantage of having a good sense of north, south, east, west.
I have no sense of direction. I'm telling you right now, I have no sense of direction. I was on freaking Stern, which is like right
it's
there.
It's right there. Yeah,
it's not even.
Yeah, it's right there. GPS has spoiled everybody because all you have to do now is just go deet, 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 and it just and the little voice takes you there.
And every time I do that, I wind up just fine.
Yeah.
If I don't, I wind up 15 minutes late.
I want my GPS. I want a female with a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
I don't know why I want that, but I do.
You do?
Not British. I want a Scottish accent.
I'd be afraid.
I'm weird that
I
way.
wouldn't understand it.
I think it'd be funny.
I think it would be funny too.
I think it'd be hilarious.
I don't even want to try and imitate it, but I can just imagine.
But the inventory challenges.
Imagine that little girl telling you, Mike, you're going in the wrong direction. Turn around at the nearest turn. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
When exactly did we lose control of this thing?
I don't know.
Oh, God. Inventory, though. Inventory is still low. It's still too dang low.
Yeah.
And we still have people looking for houses. And it comes down to those specifics. When they start, I have to have 4 bedrooms. Well, 4-bedroom homes are really tough to find right now.
Yeah.
They're almost impossible right now.
Yeah, I had a client say, I want a 4-bedroom home. Yeah. Well, I've got a 3-bedroom that has 2 living spaces. Yeah. You might have to get a little creative on that one.
I actually talked to someone about a week ago that said they were going to need, they were either going to need a 5 to 6-bedroom home, or they need to try to find 2 3-bedroom homes next door to one another. And I said,
dinosaur. That's not a unicorn. That's a dinosaur.
It is. And I'm like, I got nothing. I mean, I really don't. But it's mom, dad, daughter, son-in-law, grandkids, and they want to stay together.
That's one of those houses that you need to probably find them a regular house with a mother-in-law suite.
Something like that. Yeah, because it's. I don't know what else you do. A 6-bedroom plus home, forget about it. There's just none out there.
Bridgeport. Bridge Creek.
Bridge Creek.
That one on Bridge Creek that I had.
Yeah.
That is a 6-bedroom. Well, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, and then it has an apartment on the top.
Is it still available?
Yeah, and it has a pool.
There we go. Okay.
Just depends on what their price range is.
I don't. It better be healthy.
Just bring. Yeah, this guy he's. I'm pretty sure it's overlisted.
Yeah.
Overpriced at this point. But
Yeah, that was one of those meetings where I knew somebody who said, "Hey, they're looking for this," and they got me in touch with them. And
show it. Yeah, it's still got the combo on it.
Okay. All right. Good deal. There we go. We may have solved that one. But.
But it takes that kind of relationship sometimes to really get something for your client. So
there's a lot of networking that goes on in this business.
You gotta really start talking to people. Posted on we have a couple of Facebook posts and stuff like that. So if you're looking for a house, that's one way of kind of getting your desires out there.
Yeah.
Somebody will reach out to you.
What has your experience been with homes that you promote on Facebook with paid ads?
I wouldn't waste the money on that. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
If you really want to advertise the home and get it sold,
like a boosted post.
Post. Yeah. I get the appeal of it.
Yeah.
But you might be better off going to the television station and doing what Tamara does sometimes and just putting it on there. They're blur. They have some advertising that you can pay for on the because it's going to be local. If you put it on Facebook, God only knows who's going to be seeing it.
Well, and another way too is also digital ads that are you can do YouTube, TrueView, and stuff like that.
You probably can do cheaper on the radio.
Oh yeah, I can.
It's kind of hard to show up.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard. A house on a radio show,
but the digital advertising, and that's another great way to promote the inventory that is out there, is through those advertising vehicles. But the problem we've got right now, though, it's not just promoting what we've got, but it's just having more inventory. We just need more listings. And I get it. There's a little bit of a catch-22 here, isn't there? That you've got a house you want to list, and you can get a good price for it.
But then, how do you find another house?
But finding another
needs a place to live.
Yeah, and finding another property that's within a budget that you can live with. And we've talked about this before about how, you'll go to the bank and the bank will say, yeah, you qualify for $400,000.
Don't do it.
But no, you what you need to do is you sit down with pen and paper and you figure out, what can I really afford to get into?
Right. And you back into the number.
Right.
That's the smartest way to do it. So, for instance, if you think that $1,000 is the most that you can do a month, and feel comfortable about it, then you take that and multiply it by, you take your divided by 7. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Divided by 7, and then you can multiply that by 1,000.
Right.
Well, no. And I did the math wrong on that one.
Well,
but anyway, your real estate agent can help you figure out the max amount that you can afford.
Right. What kind of payment can you live with? And right now that also,
because it's about $7 for every 1,000 that you borrow.
Right. And that's what kind of exacerbates the inventory situation right now a little bit is you have people that do want to sell, but can they get into something else? And it depends on where you're relocating to. If you're relocating from a place like Wichita Falls, for example, to a place like Dallas or Austin, you're going to pay more there. It's going to cost you more there, and most people know that going into it.
I don't think that you can find anything cheaper than $250,000 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area right now.
No.
And if it is cheaper than $250,000, or even at $250,000, it's probably a dump.
Yeah, I've got friends and family that are in the real estate business in the Dallas area, and one of them, they're sisters and they work as a team, and they're routinely showing $1 million properties, and we're not talking like Beverly Hills mansion type $1 million properties.
No, $1 million property could be what you and I here call $500,000 or $250,000 home.
Exactly.
It's
and we're not talking about houses with a lot of land either. We're talking about a house on a lot. We're not talking about a lot of land around the house. That's that's not what they're doing.
And in Austin, it's even worse. Like my clients that bought a house in Austin, we paid $100,000 above asking price,
which is staggering,
freaking nuts. And to actually take a look at the house itself, it looks like one of the ones that's over on Lavelle or Stern. So it's not like here it would have been maybe $150,000.
Yeah, it's not.
There it was almost $400,000.
Yeah, it's not something that would strike the average person as a spectacular home necessarily, but it's it's what the market bears right now. I mean, and right now, even in Wichita Falls, Texas, where we are, for those of you that don't live here that are watching this or listening to this, we live in an area that traditionally the prices have been fairly stable for a long time. The market hasn't seen big run-ups until recently. I mean, we've seen a few.
And it will change more, but it seems like whenever we change here, Dallas and Fort Worth get worse. So as our property values go up, so do theirs.
Yeah.
So there's never going to be, we're never going to catch up to them.
Yeah. Oh, no, we won't catch up to them. And I don't know that we want to. You kind of always want to have a place where people feel like it's more affordable to live. And I think that's one of the attractive features of a place like Wichita Falls. And again, for those of you that are thinking about selling, this is the time to do it. One of the more attractive features about a place like Wichita Falls, Lou, is we do have a lower cost of living overall, a lower cost of living than a place like Dallas or Austin or even El Paso for that matter.
Well, I think also that the advantage is that the cost of living might not be, the cost of living in Dallas-Fort Worth is probably a little bit higher too because they're dealing with roads and you're driving 45 minutes to get anywhere. And
everything's bigger.
It's costing you more gas. It's costing you more, more time. And here in Wichita Falls, it just seems like life is a little bit less rushed.
Yeah.
You can get somewhere within 15 minutes.
You can be anywhere in this county in under 30.
Yeah,
anywhere in the county in under 30.
And the cost of gas is not. It's pretty comparable as far as I can tell. The gas here is about as cheap as it is down there.
Someone shared yesterday on Facebook a gas station there in Las Vegas right now, and $3.61 a gallon for regular unleaded in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and almost $4 for diesel.
Wow.
Just pennies below $4 a gallon for diesel.
Wow.
In Vegas. So yeah, and here we're averaging about $2.78, $2.79 a gallon right now for gas, and diesel is anywhere from I've seen it as cheap as like $3.02, $3.03. It's probably the average is probably closer to $3.15, $3.16, something like that. So the cost of living here is it's always been a little bit better than it is in some other larger cities. That's one of the attractive features. But we still have buyers are still facing challenges in this market in just finding inventory, finding something they want.
That's available. And then once they do find something that's available, winning the bid, because 9 times out of 10 there's going to be 5 offers on the property before you even think about making an offer.
Yeah.
So that's a real struggle that people are having nowadays.
Yeah, I just had a conversation today with someone that, about 3 months ago they listed their house. They didn't list it with me, and that upset me. But anyway, but
error number 1.
Yeah, they listed their house, and day 1 they had 3 offers.
Yeah.
Day 1, 3 offers. They had They had a deal made in under 5 days.
Yep.
Had it in contract, and they were closed in under 30.
Well, the one that we're buying right now, or my buyers are buying right now, it's only been on the market for a day, and we got an accepted offer. But then there's houses like the one that I have over on Hooper that's been on the market for 3 months. So it's all kind of relative.
Well, it's is it what do you think? What exactly hamstrings a property that way? I mean, what do you think if you could pick out any one feature or any one thing?
Scientifically, I have not been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go both ways because, I mean, you even saw with Newman.
Yeah.
That one, you thought that it was going to go crazy, and it has now gone crazy.
Yes.
You finally got it into contract and you get 2 more offers.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, how long have you had that on the market? 15 days?
About 20.
20 days?
About 20 days.
Okay. Now the one that you just listed, you didn't even finish taking pictures of it. And there was a potential buyer at the door.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the magic formula? We can come up with as many strategies as we want. Yeah. And sometimes there's just no control over it.
It's strange because you can have 2 houses that are otherwise very equal. They can be, nearly equal in square footage and features, and they're, they both got, fresh paint, and new floors, and new roof, and everything that needs to be new is new. And
one sells for $20,000 more than the other one.
Yeah, and one sells in 10 days, and one sells in 2 months. I mean, it just, it's hard to pinpoint it. But you've got buyers out here that are still struggling to find houses. They're still struggling to find inventory. And it's a challenge we've been dealing with for a while now. It feels like it's been going on forever. It really hasn't been forever. It's a couple of years, I guess, really seriously. But it just feels like it's been dragging on and on and on and on and on. And it's where is the end in sight for all of this? How do you remedy that? And for us, it seems like, I guess the short answer is more listings. But
well, if we get more listings, that's not necessarily going to solve the problem that listing. I don't know. I go back and forth on it because there's multiple trains of thought on if you have more listings, then you're going to deplete your buyers' inventory. So. The more listings, the less buyers you have, and the longer your listings are going to be on the market. So the fact that we don't have a lot of listings right now is very beneficial for people that want to sell their property. Yeah. But for our buyers, like you said, there's a catch-22.
There is.
Inversely, whenever you sell your property, you have to find something to live in. So, are you going to be successful at finding something that's in your price range? Or are you going to be struggling and having to settle when 2 years ago that was not the case?
Are we seeing more contingent offers than we've had before?
We are seeing a lot of contingencies offers.
Yeah. Where basically you got to sell house A to buy house B.
Or any contingency, really. It can be other things too. Contingent upon a job, everything's contingent upon financing, but
sure.
If they have financing. But
loan approval, when you're
contingent upon the appraisal, contingent upon
when you're buying a house, you're financing through a bank. There's that process takes a little time, and you go through several steps before you get to the final underwriting process, and that can take weeks sometimes to get through all that. It doesn't happen. None of this happens in a vacuum. None of it happens fast.
And I talked to Brady's going to be back on middle of February. We're going to have Brady on as one of our guests.
Good.
And I met with him yesterday at our education committee meeting, and he's saying that now he's starting to see a little bit of a breather for him as far as like appraisals are concerned. So it's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah. And we ran into that problem also, not having enough appraisers in the market. It just the ones that were here were covered up, and it's like, you're 3 days from closing, and we finally get an appraisal back.
Or like you were, exactly. The day before closing, is that what it was, or 3 days?
I had one that was the day before. The one in Henrietta happened the day before. I had one in West Floral Heights that was 3 days before closing. Yeah. I mean, that's been several months ago now. So the problem, I guess it is just now starting to retreat a little bit as far as the flood of appraisals, and these guys aren't maybe as covered up as they were, but still, I mean, it's you have to, and I think buyers and sellers both tend to get antsy because they go like, why is this taking so long? Why is that taking so long? Some of these things just take time.
They take time. Spring is right around the corner, so we probably next time around need to do a show about getting ready for spring, because we are going to start seeing a lot of listings.
We are
in the spring, not just from REO banks and stuff like that, because that's coming too, but people in general like to sell their properties at the beginning of February, March timeframe.
Yeah. Well, December, January traditionally is very slow anyway.
Yeah.
No one wants to move around Christmas time.
Although last year it was just like a freaking tsunami of craziness. Everybody wanted to buy a house in January last year.
Everybody wants Santa to tow their belongings away in his sleigh, I guess.
Yeah.
Good grief. I don't know. But yeah, these challenges, it's if you're looking to buy or sell, there are certain challenges you're going to face. There's no question about that. But we do need.
What I was going to say is that we need to do a show with an inspector to kind of give us tips on what we can, what our clients can do and what our customers can do to get their houses ready for being on the market.
Yeah,
because that's typically the first thing that you really need to do is to find out what needs to get fixed in your home.
Right.
And there are inspectors out there that will come to your home and do a pre-inspection.
Sure.
To kind of give you an idea of what to do.
Well, and I think it may have been Brady that brought this up the last time too. The inspector's job when they go to inspect a home is to find what's wrong with the house, not what's right with the house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's their job. They're going to look for what's wrong.
They're going to be thorough.
Right.
They're going to be nitpicky. I've had some sellers that are like, "Oh my gosh, that inspector was so picky."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that's their job."
They're going to crawl around in areas that the average homeowner will never see. Most people never crawl around in their attic and inspect wires and the underside of the roof or anything like that. These guys do. They get in there and
will, at least.
Yeah, they're going to look at stuff. The only thing they're not going to do is dig under the slab. They're not going to tunnel under the slab. But everything else they pretty much get into, and that's their job. That's why you hire a licensed professional inspector.
Yes.
To do that stuff.
Yeah, because you want to be aware of all the nuts and bolts. You want to be. I mean, that's the buyer's due diligence.
That's right.
That's their whole reason for buying a house. Really is to live in it. So they want to make sure that if they're living there, that they're not going to be facing any kind of issues.
Well, for so many people, it will be the single biggest investment you ever make in your life.
Yeah. And you're sleeping there, you're living there, you're eating there, your kids are there. You want to make sure that you're living in a safe and healthy home.
You got that right.
And so sometimes that's number one, that's the most important thing to do whenever you're buying a house is to get that inspection. And I recommend it for every transaction, not just for ones where you're doing buyers, what you're doing financing. If you're buying it cash, you should do an inspection. Whether it's contingent upon that inspection, that's the different story. But even if you are not doing an option period, I would still recommend you doing an inspection because you never know what's underneath the hood. Right. I mean, you're not a professional contractor. Yeah. If you're not a professional builder, then you don't know what's going on underneath that hood, in the attic or underneath in the plumbing and stuff like that. If you're buying a house, this is a big one. If you're buying a house with owner financing, get an inspection.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I've heard the nightmare stories of a certain investor in town that, his houses were crap and, but you paid for it.
That's right. That's right. Never.
You're the one that did that. You're the one that followed through with that transaction. That seller doesn't need to should give you a disclosure, but you don't. You have to trust but verify.
Even if you don't intend to go back to the seller and go, I want you to fix out all of this. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't intend to do that,
no option period.
Right.
Yeah.
If you know going into the transaction, okay, this is going to need attention, that's going to need attention.
You have your honey-do list.
Yeah. At least you're giving yourself a proper heads up on what needs to be done.
Because you want to be able to enjoy that property.
That's
so if you're buying a property and 2 days into your occupancy, the hot water heater busts and the AC is not working and there's termites underneath the house, then you're not going to be able to fully enjoy that property. And you were the one that paid for it.
That's right.
The way to mitigate those kinds of surprises is to get an inspection.
It'll be the best $400 or $500 you've ever spent in your life, and that's typically what they're going to cost, somewhere between $400 and $500 usually.
And inspectors aren't perfect; they sometimes miss things too.
Oh, sure.
But at the very least, you're going to find out, hey, there's termites in this house,
That's right.
or
That's why you get the WDI inspection.
Yeah, there's mold growing underneath it. So the things that you should be concerned about are going to come out.
Well, if you are looking to buy or sell, we want to represent you. Give me a call. My name is Mike Hendren. Again, I'm a licensed realtor, Wichita Falls, Texas, with Strategic Realty. 940-232-3876 is the way to get a hold of me directly. Or if you would rather, you can email me. My email address, I use the same email address for my real estate business as I do for my other business. It's mike@hendrenmedia.com. It's really easy to remember, mike@hendrenmedia.com, and Hendren is spelled Hendren. And, of course, you can also reach out to Strategic Realty directly at
940-689-7900.
Or you can go on the website. It's strategicrealty.net. Really easy to find. So be sure and share this this podcast with all your friends. You can catch us.
Yeah, check us out on Facebook and YouTube for additional material and additional episodes. Spotify as well.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course
Apple Podcast, whatever.
Those of you listening on the radio this morning on 96.3 FM, 1290 AM, we appreciate that very much. Or if you're listening on the stream, thank you for doing that. And we will see you next week with another edition of Strategic Moves with Lou. Until then, take care. We'll see you down the road.
Subscribe, like, and share.